Hi everyone and welcome back. In this lecture, we'll introduce and learn about 4 new functions, and these are the left, mid, right and find functions, and these are often referred to as text-based or string functions, and they're usually used to extract bits of information from existing text or numbers. For this lecture, we'll be using a dataset containing some information on fictional customers and orders that I've created. It contains information on their first name, their last name, the date in which the order was placed, the address where it was sent, and also their contact phone number. And we'll learn how to use the left, right, mid, and find functions to extract some key information from this dataset. This dataset can also be found within the section folder within the course materials, and the spreadsheet is just called text-based functions. Let's make a start by using the left function to return the day of the week that the order was placed. And looking at our dataset, we can see that each of our days is stored using a 3-letter abbreviation at the start of our column. So in column F, I'll create a new heading called day. And then below this in cell F2, we'll start our function. We'll call our function, and it's just called left. Here we can see the arguments that Excel's looking for. So firstly, our text, and then the number of characters. The text we want to look at is our order, placed over here in cell C2, and then we'll need to enter the number of characters. And if you take a look at our day abbreviation over here in column C, we have 3 characters that we need to extract. So we'll enter 3 in here, and then hit enter. And now if we check the output of our function, we'll see that it's returned the abbreviated day of the week. And all this here is doing is pulling out the first 3 characters from our order placed column for that particular row. And then, as usual, we'll just use the autofill handle to fill this down for the rest of our rows. Let's now look at a different example, but this time we'll use the right function. And this time, let's say that we want to extract the zip code from the end of our address column. So again, I'll quickly create a new column over here next to our day column, and I'll call this one zip code. Below this, we'll create our function, and this time, rather than specifying left, we'll call the right function. And if you have a look at our dataset, it'll probably be quite obvious why we need to use the right function this time, and that's just because the zip code is at the right of our column, rather than the day of the week, which was at the left. So this time, our text is in column D, and our zip code is 5 characters long, so we'll select 5 characters. So this will just pull the first 5 characters from the right-hand side of our cell. And now, here we have the extracted zip code from the end of our address column, without all the other information. And I'll just fill this down again for the rest of our rows. And yeah, we can see there that everything is correct. The next function we'll look at is the mid function. And mid provides us with much more flexibility for how we extract our data compared to the left and right functions. This time, let's say that we want to extract the month from within the middle of our order place column. In this example, using either left or right would not be possible, as the month begins halfway through the column. So we'd end up selecting either the day of the week that the order was placed if we use left, or with right, we'd end up selecting the year as well as the date, instead of just the month. So again, let's create a new column called month and call our function just below. And the function is just called mid. And you can see here that in our list of arguments, we now have an additional argument called start number. And this is where we specify what position we want to start extracting from. So like before, our text will just be the order placed, which is in cell C2. Our start number, if you have a look here in cell C2, our month starts at position 6. And if you take a closer look, we'll see why. So Monday, MON, takes up our first 3 characters, but then we have a comma followed by a space, and these are both classed as characters. The first letter of our month then starts at position 6, and our month abbreviation is 3 characters long, so we can tell Excel to extract 3 characters. And looking here, we can see that our function is working as expected, and it's extracted the abbreviated month name from our order place column. The final thing I'd like to show you in this lecture is the find function. And to take things a little further, also how to use the find function in conjunction with the left function. And for this example, we'll use the left and find function to extract the house number and street name for our first row here, which is 123 Main Street. So we'll enter our column heading over here in column I of address line 1. And then below this, we'll enter our function. So for our first row here, with the left function, we'd have to extract the first 11 characters from the cell. So that includes everything from the start up to just before the comma. The issue with this though, is that if we autofill this, and then look down our spreadsheet, we'll see that for rows where the first part of the address is not 11 characters, it doesn't extract the data properly. To get around this, we can use the find function. And what find does is it returns the location at which a character appears. So over here in a blank cell, I'll use the find function to locate the comma within our row. So we'll start with our function name, which is just find, and then our first argument is the character that we want to find, which in our case is a comma, and then the text is just the cell that we want to search in. So I'll select cell D2, and then if we hit enter, we'll see that our output here is number 12. And this just means that our comma appears at position 12 within this cell. And we can actually use this functionality here within our left function. So let's go back to our initial left function that we created, and instead of providing a fixed number, such as 11 like before, we'll actually provide the find function. And then the number returned by this will be passed into the left function for the number of characters. So we'll enter in the same arguments as before, so just trying to find the comma within cell D2. And then we don't need the third optional argument at the end here, so just go ahead and press enter. And if we check out our result, we'll see that it's actually included the comma. And that's because the comma appears at position 12. So we actually need one before this value, so position 11 like we had before. So this is a very simple fix. All we need to do is go back to our function and then subtract 1 from the result of our find. And now if we autofill this function down for the rest of our rows, we can see that it has successfully extracted both the house number and street name for all of our orders. Okay, and that's everything for our first lecture here on some of the text-based functions inside of Excel. In the next one, we'll have a look at some other text-based functions, and these will be the trim, concat, length, and case functions. So I'll see you there.